Joseph Apartment Talk Show. We have some very special guests today and a new guest. But I want to start with an old guest, Phil Atwan. I'm going to have him explain a couple of things, but I'm curious about the reverse exchange, where you sell your apartment building after you buy. How do you explain a reverse exchange to my viewers?
Jim, when opportunity knocks and something very, very special pops up, and if you don't acquire it and close it, you're going to lose that opportunity and it's going to go to another buyer. The reverse exchange is there for the purpose of acquiring that very, very nice property first through the accommodator in the 1031 exchange, and then closing a sale up to 180 days later. So the bottom line is you can take advantage of opportunity, something that's maybe once in a lifetime. Take advantage of that property, close it, which means you're going to have extra cash to float because you don't have the benefit of a sale closing, and or have a lender who can do hard money, a swing loan, a line of credit, refinancing, something to acquire. And then after the sale closes, that money will be either reimbursed back to the taxpayer to pay back what they floated, and or pay down the loans or pay off the loans.
So you can do both. You can do a traditional 1031 exchange at Exchange Resources, and you could also do a reverse. You can
Yes.
do both.
And there's actually one more thing we can do in addition to a few others. Something called a hybrid exchange. And what a hybrid exchange is that if you're selling two properties, for example, to acquire one, and you close the first sale, you have to close that purchase within 180 days. Well, guess what? If you can't close the second sale in time, we can set up a delayed exchange for that one sale into a portion of that new purchase, and also set up a reverse exchange on that same purchase for the second sale that's going to be closing within 180 days from the time of purchase.
Blew my mind.
Yeah.
I've 38 years in the business. First time I heard that.
Yeah.
It's a hybrid exchange.
Yeah, hybrid, like a hybrid car, runs on gas and electric. A hybrid exchange allows you one sale to go into as a delayed exchange and the other sale to go into the acquisition as a reverse exchange, but we have to set them both up at the same time for the acquisition.
Reverse, delayed, hybrid.
Yes, sir.
You do them all.
Yes, sir, we
What else?
specialize in it. In fact, we have a legal department that's just dedicated to that.
That is
You'll be
brilliant.
working
I
directly
never
with
knew
the
that.
attorney.
I never knew that. You learned something
Yeah.
new.
Yeah.
We had over 300 viewers last month, so we learned something new. So what else you got real quick?
I'm just a little concerned when you're doing a 1031 exchange. Sometimes people pad the loan a little bit and overborrow. Well, guess what happens to that money? That extra cash comes back to the client. It's taxable. It's boot. The client is not allowed to take any cash except on a reimbursement on the reverse exchange. So if you do a delayed exchange and you overborrow and money comes back, it's taxable. Some people say, well, how about if we do a principal pay down? Not allowed. The government won't allow it. It's taxable. So the bottom line is don't overborrow. When you come close to closing, make sure you read that line item closing sheet, that estimated closing cost that escrow is going to provide, and make sure you go back to the lender and say, hey, we borrowed too much. Let's lower the amount because I don't want to pay interest and taxes on that overage that I'm going to get back.
The bad news is this is confusing. The good news is Phil has a plethora of loans available, options available for clients. It's a virtual cornucopia,
We're happy,
if you will.
We're happy to just advise them if they would like to call us. Or
So
call me
if you want to know
personally.
your options, how do you get a hold of you?
213-479-8800.
In your email, Phil?
Phil Atwan, ATWAN, @gmail.com.
You know what I like? When I send clients to Phil, he provides solutions. You know, that it's very confusing for people a lot of times. There are options, and you're able to guide them through that. Thank you, Phil.
You're welcome.
Our next guest is Mr. Chris Miller, and Chris is going to tell us what options are available in addition to the standard 1031 exchange where you sell your apartment building and buy another physical building. Chris has other options. What's new?
I do. So, as I've said, every month pretty much, we do partial interests for 1031 exchange replacement properties. This month, I wanted to expand a little bit on how this could be a benefit for part of a 1031. So, I'm actually approaching the 400 mark for the number of 1031 exchanges I've done in my career for clients. I've also done a few for
Congratulations.
myself. Thank you. And so I know personally that there's a lot of deadlines you have to meet. There's a lot of moving parts. How am I going to sell this property in time? How am I going to keep this under contract? And how am I going to be ready to buy it if I need to be? So my properties offer a quick solution to that. Two ways. First, if that's just too much for you to handle, you may want to look at my properties where we could fill out paperwork for you today, have you closed by Tuesday of next week, and get your first income check that month. So you could close early. We've overlapped with the months here. So let's say you close in August. You'll get your first check mid-September for the last few days of August, get your next check in October, which won't always happen if you're waiting potentially 180 days to close. The second way this can help is it's a good backup option. Let's say you have an apartment complex you're in love with, but there are a lot of moving parts in that deal. You need to get your loan approved. You need to get some things fixed in that property before escrow closes. Maybe that won't all happen. If you've identified one of my properties and you pass your 45th day, you have an exit option. So that can help you in negotiation with the property you want to buy. And it can also help you because if this blows up, you can go with my properties, not have to pay your taxes, keep all your equity working for you, and start collecting monthly checks.
Excellent. Well, you can see how the two of you have just kicked around like 4 or 5 different options that may or may not be available to